Once again, we are privileged to have Mr. Segun Awosanya, otherwise known as Segun, a public affairs commentator and the leader of the NSAS movement. And it's a pleasure having you on SaharaTV again, Mr. Segun.
Thank you very much for having me again.
We are looking at the state of the nation. And one of the issues that has been on the front burner in recent time has to do with the third force political movement and the call for a coalition of Nigerians movement in order to wrest power from the present APC-led government come 2019. The big question Nigerians continue to ask is, can we really have a coalition? Or are we really ready for a coalition of movement in order to wrest power come 2019?
Well, I think, first of all, we need to look at things from different perspectives. You know, when we start having issues prop up in our socio-economic space or socio-political space, there are things that we sometimes react to based on biases, because the brain works in patterns and the brain recognizes pattern. If every time A happens, B follows, and then after B, C jumps in, the brain will map those phases. So anytime the brain sees A, it responds immediately with B and C, because it is used to that pattern. So that is why you see most of us treating or addressing or reacting to situations based on things that we are familiar with. So every hammer tends to see every problem as a nail. The third force movement, alongside other movements that are associated with it, red card, what have you, I don't know what the rest are called, Coalition of Nigeria Movement, red card, or the NIM, NIM, and the rest. If you see, there are common patterns around these movements. And the common pattern is not too far away. They say a fruit cannot fall too far from a tree. Yeah. It's not too far away from the things they claim to be fighting. It is just the same thing, as I said, that you don't fight good, you don't fight bad to create good. When you tend to approach a problem from the angle of benefits, from the angle of we are the ones that are running this, from the angle of there's an agenda somewhere, it still will, your purpose will still be defeated. And I don't think this is the way to go, because you're addressing the same problem with the mindset that created the problem. When you find, I describe the situation as all logo and no brand. Brand is the base of everything that you do. It is the structure. It is the superstructure. Something that you construct as a base upon which you are going to build a lot of things. And if the problem, or if the foundation has a problem, then there's a whatever it is you build on it will not stand. So when you look at the third force, or the third force, the NIM, the red card, and what have you, the pattern I'm seeing is the same pattern of failure. It's the same pattern that has not shown that there has been a change of heart or a change of mind or a change of attitude or a basic understanding of our issues, of our problems. One would have expected that those who have seen how we got here will do things differently. First, not by gathering or proving that you are a force, just by trying to create another problem or because there's no political ideology in the first instance. And if there's no political ideology, if you attack a mere vehicle, APC, PDP, the people there tomorrow can jump into your own party. But what I see deeply from the extreme of the entire matter is that a group of people have realized that there's no how they can begin their journey, their political journey from the bottom of the rung. And so because of this, they want to create a distraction that will bring attention to themselves. So when this distraction has been created and people have subscribed to it, they can now begin to call this, because they are not political parties. They are not going to appear on your ballot paper, but they are going to create enough distraction to discredit the major political parties before the people. So when they do this, you will look up to them and say, whatever you people endorse, we endorse. From there, you have given them power. But the truth is, we, the citizen, the office of the citizen is still the highest office in the land. And if we, the citizen, can come together, which we are doing right now, with NSAS reform, police NG movement, with universal institutional reforms, movement, we're already doing that, and we don't need to sign. Nobody needs to give you validation or authenticate you to be a citizen of Nigeria. You already have that power. We're in a democracy. The power belongs to the people. So the people are already a force. So there's no need to say we are creating third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th force. Because it's just another, corny idea of people trying to arrogate powers to themselves.
Now, let me quickly take you up on the issue that you raised out earlier that has to do with the superstructure on which governance is based, and the kind of institutions we have, calls for reform. For example, you stated in one of your tweets that the major factors pulling us down are our weak institutions, the culture of religion, and politics of ethnic extraction. Could you expatiate on this? What is really wrong with this structure?
Excuse me. You see, when you look at the world, generally, there are 192 countries in the globe. And out of this, 25 of them are significantly rich countries. They are huge countries. They are wealthy countries. And the question every sane Nigerian should ask themselves is, what are these countries doing right? And what are we doing wrong? I will not want to dwell too much on this, but I'm going to speak on just two fundamental, as I've stated in that tweet. First are the institutions. Those poor countries that you see, the common factor amongst them is the fact that they all have weak institutions. And what makes our institutions weak? Corruption is one thing. And what exactly is corruption? When you dig deep into the cause of corruption, when you have an industry, when you have an institution, for example, and the people who are nominated or appointed, to run or to head such institutions were politically handpicked. Handpicked based on consideration of what tribe they belong to, what religion are they, who the political affiliations they have, and what have you, or who their godfather is. Not basically on merit. That's on the government side. Also on the company side, the firms, institution, the economic sector, within the economic sector, what are the bases for people getting jobs? Countries that are succeeding hire people based on their competences, based on their capacity, based on their character, based on their clarity, based on their perspicacity, based on their, the ability for them to do what they are qualified to do. But when you look at countries that are not really making it, those very poor countries, living under $1 a day, the basis of employing people in work sectors are based on who they know, are based on their ethnic extraction, are based on who their political godfathers fathers are, based on their religion, and based on probably the relational thing, probably family. They may be your uncle's children's cousin or what have you, or they are related to you. Those are the bases. And that is the reason why countries fail. That is the reason why companies fail. That is the reason why people fail. Because also because you can't study economics without looking at this major, the firm, the company, and the individual. Also, if you pick your friends based on sentiments, based on who agrees with you, based on who are people who associate with you based on ethnic similarities, or people you know based on the things that you can benefit from them. You're not going to succeed with such people. So that is one of the reasons why we are failing today. Look at our institutions. The most fundamental institution that we have, the closest to the police, they are armed robbers today. Why? Because everything has been politicized. People see themselves first as northerners. We are the one ruling. We can do anything we like. And because we are the one in government, anything I do goes. I report straight to the president. I answer to nobody. So anything I do, I'm accountable to no one. So because of that, professionalism is out of the window. Why wouldn't it crash? Why won't police think that they are gods because they have guns and nobody is checking up on them? In as much as they made the remittances to whosoever, they are free to do anything, kill anyone, live or act beyond limits. So this is one of the reasons why countries fail. Look at our democracy, INEC of recent. Registration there is this systemic disenfranchisement of the people. You go there, they tell you that they have, a list of 400 people as at 4 a.m. in the morning or 5 a.m. in the morning. But by the time the officials resume, maybe about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, they are telling you that they can only attend to 30 people. If not, their system will crash. So by the time you face that 3 times in a week, after taking a leave of absence from work to do this, voter apathy begins. Whereas there are susurus making the rounds that in some other part of the country, they are encouraging people to register. They are registering children. They are doing all sorts. So what do you now begin to make up of the entire context of Nigeria, of a nationhood? If our democracy is suffering, if rigging, before an election that is slated for next year has already started now with the structures of INEC, then there's no point calling INEC independent. We should know that it's another arm of the ruling party. And then we can begin to think where we're going from here.
No, secondly, I'm sorry, Constitution. Yeah. How do we break off away from this cycle? These are issues that have been on the front burner. A lot of Nigerians have dissected it, have called for reforms, but there doesn't seem to be any sort of reform. How do we break away from this cycle? Number one,
we need to understand our problems. And we have identified that we have serious institutional problem based on weak institutions and our culture, the culture of ethnicity, the culture of cronyism. Because clannish thinking and provincial thoughts of anything that belongs to my side of town or my people, is good. Anything that belongs to any other place, we don't really care about. When you begin to think in a parochial way like this, definitely there won't be any way out. We, the citizens, ourselves, need to begin to take responsibility. This is a time for cohesion. This is a time we need to all come together and begin to think as one that, look, Nigeria is a concept. It's a social construct, as it were. Because when they created the country, when they amalgamated Nigeria, nobody's houses or lands moved from where it used to be. Your houses, your lands, your parents' houses and what have you, they remain where they are. So we just have an ideology that now we are now a people. So what brought us together was that social or integration or national integration or national identity, that we are now in Nigeria, not southwest or southeast or south-south. So we need to begin to think like that, and fight. It's an ideological battle. We need to first understand what the problem is, then after which know how to engage. And how do we engage? One, voter education. We need to begin to educate ourselves and our neighbors. The first thing first, get your PVC. Give it whatever it takes. If you have to sleep on the queue to make sure you register and you get your TVC and your PVC, do it. Secondly, begin education. The candidature that they're going to bring up from different parties. Don't put your mind on APC, PDP, whatever. You don't need to fight any established political party. All you need to do is focus on the candidate. What is this candidate bringing to the table? Are they competent? Do they have capacity? Do they have clarity? Are they going to take Nigeria forward? Is the person good in economy? What is their plan for security? These are questions we need to begin to ask. Not who is going to build roads or who is going to create ACs on our streets. No, it's about their idea, their understanding, the ideology behind the person himself or herself. So those are the things we need to begin to look at before we can now say these are credible candidates.
Now, how will you assess the level of Nigerians in terms of consciousness in this regard? Because there seems to be so much poverty in the land, and that has resulted in the poverty of ideas, poverty of ideologies, like you mentioned. I mean, how will you rate the level of political consciousness in this regard?
Most of the time, we confuse weapons of mass distraction as political consciousness. When propaganda fills the air and people are beginning to believe lies or feed their souls lies and begin to act the way they have been told to act. Already now, the middle class of the political class, the political class too have middle class. The lower class are the people they use. They give rice and jollof rice and groundnut to vote. The middle class are those ones that will come out and say, yes, this is what we're doing today. The agenda for now is to say no to PDP and the APC. They will be the one that will fight. So when they fight, of course, what are they fighting for? Themselves. Appointment. They want to be seen as a factor. They want to be seen. So if 1 million movement comes out today, they will be a member of all those movements. If you look at the common factor, NIM, red card movement, and coalition, they are all the same set of people. You need to listen to these people, then you understand that they don't even know what the problem is, other than finding relevance for themselves here. These are people who benefit from the pains of the masses. They don't really want to have, they don't have the conscience to say, look, let's stand on, because if they speak the truth or stand on the way of the truth, they won't be able to endorse them in the political parties. Political parties will not touch them if you are speaking the truth. But when you are ready to play ball, help them spread their propaganda, But what we need now is orientation. We need national orientation. We need to begin to educate our people, to let them know the implication of their inaction. Because not voting is voting. If you don't vote, you have voted for the ills of the society. Because we are society, no matter how, we will be judged by our society. So the information that we need, or the communication that we need, the things that we need to begin to spread out there is, voter education. Let the people get their PVCs and let them know that the moment you have your PVC, you have gotten power in your hands. And once you vote, we will stand by our votes. We will ensure that it counts. We will ensure that the number counted is the number recorded on the sheet. The number at every polling unit tallies. When we get to the ward level or the area level, we'll find out, we'll be sure that all the numbers that they put together are the numbers that were verified and that it counts, because that's the way to go. And if anything changes, we are going to hold them responsible. The people, the officials who are recording the thing, the INEC officials and everything, we will know their houses. We will know their names. We will know their children. Because we are taking responsibility. We can't continue to live our lives in the hands of politicians. We cannot. And the best way to go is to actively be involved. And right now, Nigerians are putting extraordinary contribution into this. People they have already taken responsibility for where we are today. We are all guilty. We are all guilty. Because at some point, some of us believe the lies of these people. We even help propagate most of these lies. And now that we have seen how far it has gotten us, it is time for us to begin to say, enough is enough. It's time for us to begin to say, it is time for Nigeria to actually move forward. It is time for us to leave where we used to be to where we hope to be. It is time we need to leave our comfort zone and then take that risk and bring Nigeria out of the doldrums.
Now, away from the voters, you've led the NSAS movement, and there's been call for scrapping of SARS. There's been other call for reform of the entire SARS structure. Yet, the police brutality continues unabated in the street. Virtually every day we see this, I mean, they continue to run riot with their impunity against the citizenry. I mean, what is wrong with, I mean, the movement, the call? There's been a lull in this activity in the recent time. What's next?
Well, the movement has actually been gaining ground. It's gaining more ground. People are more aware. People are now reporting cases. In fact, there have been many cases of citizens standing their ground now.
Yeah, exactly.
Citizens are beginning to stand their ground and tell these people, what exactly do you want? Who are you? Identify yourself. What have I done? Tell me my crime. What is my offense? You know, and that's where it starts. You see, the moment you get people to the level of consciousness of realizing that they have rights, and then and to stand and defend their own right. Nobody is going to help you enforce your right. You need to enforce your right yourself. Ask questions. Tell these people to their face that you know that they are breaking the law themselves. You know that they don't have the right to look into your phone. You know that they don't have the right to touch you. If you don't give them the consent to search you, they don't have the right to search you. If they touch you, search you, or beat you up, you can actually sue them. You have a case. Our organization, we do free representation. If you can come forward we will fight for you for free. So, and that's what we've been doing. And people are enlightened. They are beginning to show that, look, this country belongs to all of us. You are meant to serve us and not rob us. And if you are doing this, you are breaking the law, and we will not let it happen. We will not cooperate with you. And based on that, at the rate at which they incriminate the people have been dropping. But again, because awareness is out there, you're going to hear more. So it will look as if it's getting rampant. But most of these things have gone unreported for many years. So now we are beginning to hear. And on the EndSARS movement, we've taken a lot, well, by this week now, you'll be hearing a lot of things about injunctions and grants for us to, begin public hearing. We're going to start public hearing very soon. People will be able to tell their stories to the world, of what is happening and how authorities are, helping to bury most of these things or stalling on these things. We have a lot of people that have been killed by SARS, and till date, we have not heard anything about the investigation because the police themselves cannot investigate themselves or reform themselves. We understand this because it is a policy issue. So that is why we went straight to the House of Assembly, both the Senate and the House of Rep, and they are taking action as we speak. Very soon, like I said, we're going to begin public hearing, and then you begin to see action. They know what is coming. They know that their days are numbered already. And the only disappointment is the fact that the IG of police is, he has shown demonstrably that he is actually not there to serve anybody, but probably certain interests. From their utterances and what have you, you know that they are not, the lives of Nigerians means nothing to those with a mandate to protect and serve the people.
Let me take you up on the police, the IG, for example. Recently we heard about the abduction of 4 police officers who are declared missing in Benue State, despite the fact that the IG had been transferred there over the menace of herdsmen killing. Let me ask you, what are your recommendations towards ending the herdsmen menace? The presidency hasn't been taking any major action against this issue in recent time.
The one thing we need to understand about the issue of the herdsmen attacks and what have you is fundamentally it is not an opportunity for us to begin to tag any tribe as evil or what have you. But the truth is, there are different dimensions to this problem. First of all, we have explained severally that this is due to largely, high competition for scarce resources. Land as a resource itself is scarce in the Middle Belt. Why? Because of the erosion in the north,
climate change,
erosion in the south, and then the desertification of the north. And then based on that, things that they are exposed to, things that they ought to have access to, they no longer have access to it. So they will be looking for a place where they have all greens all year and water for their livestock. So you will have this influx of herdsmen coming in and then concentrating themselves at the center, from the south and from different parts of, and because we signed in the 1960s or so, 62, 52, 50s, we had some policies, land use policies like grazing reserves, what have you, that actually earmarked some part of some lands, to grazing, and also we have the ECOWAS of, I think it's 1978 or thereabout, the ECOWAS transhumance agreement that was signed with ECOWAS, which allows people and chattel to move from Niger, from Chad, from all these Sahel countries, country within the Sahel, sub-Saharan Africa, coming into Nigeria and grazing through Nigeria. But of course, the fact that we have that happening does not preclude us from actually defending the integrity of our territory. Based on this, it has been, that particular movement has been abused. Yeah. Because, number one, the immigrations don't have enough facilities to even man our borders to start with. Not to mention escorting or aiding or ensuring they monitor the movement of the herders, through those channels. And the herders themselves have issues with cattle rustlers and armed robbers and what have you that get to attack them or even kill their livestock and all. So based on that, they have their own internal security system. So when you're looking at the herders, as popularly called, whether Fulani and the likes, we have the sedentary Fulanis, who are people who live within communities with us, those ones we've known for many years. They are peaceful, loving people who just go about their businesses. Some of them are farmers, some of them are herders. Herders meaning when herders come, you see them together with herders and all. Probably some of them even owns the cattle that the herders are, moving around with. Then we have the nomadic herder. The nomadic Fulani herders. These nomadic Fulanis, they are those that actually have herders as their lifestyle. Herding and nomadic life is their lifestyle. In fact, I would say it is a religion. Nomadic farming is a religion. Because most of these people, when you look at them, they are not religious Muslims, they are not fanatics, they are not fundamentalists. Yeah. They are like you and I. Some of them smoke, some of them abuse substances and what have you. So because of the need for internal security, there was another third force, let's put it that way, that was created. And this third force are the Fulani militia. So these militia are the ones you often seen with AK-47. They are the ones that they are not herders, they are not farmers, they are not interested in cattle as well, but they are rolled. They are what they have integrated themselves within that conundrum for is to protect the lives of those animals. So if you kill any cattle or you have problems with any Fulani, try whether sedentary Fulani, nomadic Fulani or what have you, these are the people that comes for to do justice. And again, when you also look at the thing deeply, these people, the entire arrangement, they are people that they take orders from. They are people who owns this cattle or these cows, these sheep, these goats. They are people who own them. Most of these people that own most of these animals and livestock, most of these livestock are people with political power, people with access to government, the rich people in the north, even there are southerners who owns cattle and cows. So when the criminal activity, aside from the minor issues between herders and farmers, so your cow ran into my farm and whatever, we have problems, we take it to the station and what have you. Aside from those common rows and what have you, there is a criminal operation going on within that conundrum, which is now bringing that sentimental labeling and what have you. And the criminal activity there is this. When a community has an issue with the sedentary Fulanis who have been their neighbors, neighbors will definitely, fight. Once in a while, you quarrel. So some of those little quarrels are sometimes escalated into issues that will demand the influx or the raid of the Fulani militia. And so, as gathered, when the Fulani militia comes in to play, when there is a small dispute and what have you, they escalate the whole thing. They can wipe out the entire village. And what happens next? you just see a new set of people, probably from Sudan, Niger, from Sudan, from different places, Chad or what have you, coming to occupy that place. So by the time you heard that they killed people here, they did the next day you have seen that the community have been occupied. Of course, it has been televised severally of people complaining about saying these things. That over 22 communities and more have been raided and then be reoccupied by these people. So people begin to term it as this is an invasion. We're trying to Islamize or Northernize the entire region, and the Fulani people are trying to extend their clan and trying to take over the entire Nigeria. So, whereas the governments themselves, because all these blames we have to put it on the government, because if they have been responsible, you know, with ensuring that they harmonize the laws that governs this or give proper orientation to visitors coming into Nigeria. This is a country. This is not a forest. You are coming into a country, you cannot come armed. If you need escort, if you need stuff, we can provide. But when you come with your own thing, and besides, again, because of our institutional problems, look at our military, look at our police. Most of the people there are northerners that are heading such security. Of course, when people begin to see that most of the appointments within the security apparatus of the nation are headed by northerners and Fulani. What do you think an average Fulani who is not an educated person would believe? You are sending a message automatically, giving them this sense of belonging that they own the country and they can do anything they like. And because there's no accountability anywhere, a policeman who sees his tribesmen raiding or overriding another village or another community, if they call such a person to come and quell the problem, the chaos, he's not going to shoot at his own tribesmen. He's not going to arrest his own tribesmen. He's not going to see himself as representing Nigeria. If the IGP does not represent the interest of the people, how will a policeman do such?
But to what end? To what end? I mean, to what end are we looking at this issue to? Because one, what's going to be the multiplier effect come 2019 towards if President Buhari eventually, I mean, decide to come out? I mean, all this nepotistic, appointments, the system, the structure, the entire security architecture going to just one ethnics.
But of course, you realize that based on some things that we've heard recently on the news, that the president finally said, according to the papers, that he has realized that there have been lopsidedness in the appointments and they will do something about it. You know, he said that, of course, at the tail end towards, this is the eve of an election, the year to an election. Then they're saying they're going to correct this. Suddenly we're talking about restructuring. Suddenly we're talking about a lot of things. These are reactions. These are knee-jerk reactions. And they are, sadly, they are primitive, because Nigerians cannot be fooled again. Right. We've been here 3 years and nothing has been achieved. And the Nigerians are gracious people. They are wonderful people. They are intelligent people. And they know when they are being abused. They understand that this is nothing but a blunder, a disaster, a catastrophe, And based on that, we're going to peacefully, communicate or send them a message that we appreciate all they have done. They've done their best possible, but it is not good enough for us. And then we're going to decide. And what we're asking the president and the presidency and the APC as a party is that they should make a believer of us and run the fairest and the freest election in the history of any democracy. Anything short of that, the restructured discourse or dialogue will be done automatically in 2019.
Now, let me take you upon that. What does restructuring mean to you?
Restructure itself is not just giving the rights to the power to the state or so. It's not just talking about state rights. What restructure means to me is deeper than that. We're talking about devolution of power. We're talking about regions. I don't want to say states now because we're not really that matured to give more powers to the states, as it were. Because if we do, we see already what is happening with our politicians and lands. How they take land for themselves, states' lands, they take it for themselves and they, use it for their own. You can see Lagos State, for example. There are several cases of government taking lands from people and then allocating same to themselves because of the criminal provision and the dubious provision of the 1999 Constitution. You know, the Land Use Act itself is a faulty document. That is part of one of the problem with our development in Nigeria. So we will not risk it by saying, give all the powers to the state. No, we will begin to look at, explore. You know, the Confab 2014 Confab report is there, and it answers a lot of these questions. You know, when we're talking about restructuring, we're talking about true federalism. We're talking about weakening the center, you know, and giving the powers to the regions, letting states have their own police, for example. If the state or the state the institution of police is controlled by either the state or the region, we are going to have something better. At least we'll be able to understand who the policemen are, who are we are training, and what community they are operating in. It is going to be far better than what we have right now, where everybody just believes that once my tribesmen get into power, then we can do anything we like. So with that, you know, control of resources and what have you, we will not be able to, the bandwagon, the rush, you know, the gold rush for running for office of the president is going to die down, because once the power has been, you know, reduced, you know, and been devolved to the state, it doesn't really matter who is president. It will be an administrative center.
Mr. Segun Awosanya, it's really a great pleasure having you in the studio, and thank you very much for the insightful analysis. We hope that when we call up on you again, you'll be privileged to honor us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.